We're back for another season. Please don't forget to click subscribe below. Good evening, folks. We're back here at Celtic Park. Full-time reaction to Celtic 3, Athletic Bilbao 2 at Celtic Park. James Forrest Testimonial. I've got Martin here with me to go over it. Martin, good to be back. Good to be back after what feels like a long break. First of all, James Forrest, what a career, and a fitting night for him, wasn't it?
The one thing I noticed about him tonight was he appeared to be wanting to be in the shadows a little bit. He wasn't.
He hates the limelight, doesn't he?
He does. He does. Even when he was talking, you could tell. I mean, he spoke quite well, but you could tell he didn't want to be speaking for too long. And then at the end, when they're walking around the pitch, he was a little bit. He wasn't Kyogo, put it that way. He wasn't jumping about, but. A good tribute, and really pleased that the fans came out in the numbers tonight. It was a great attendance, not quite a sellout, but not far away from being a sellout. And I believe some sitting at home watching it thought that maybe it wasn't a good crowd. I think the Green Brigade section was quiet for different reasons, but other than that, stadium was really busy. So a great atmosphere and a great tribute to a great player.
In terms of the game, what did you make of the lineup? Obviously, Kwon played in midfield with McGregor and Hatate. I thought in that early period of the game we looked a bit loose on the ball. We turned it over a few times. Hatate gives it away. We go 1-0 down after a matter of minutes. And I thought that kind of was contagious through the team in the first half.
I thought, in particular, that first 10 minutes, I thought, oh my goodness, a couple of new players that played in that first half looked a bit rusty. And they just started really well. They got the traps quickly. Obviously, the early goal, we were up against it being 1-0 down. I thought as this first half went on, we grew in the game and got a bit stronger as the first half finished, and then the second half, as it so happens, I'm sure you're going to come to that in a second, but when we put on the players who are not all likely to start the game, they actually performed quite well, so it was interesting to see the contrast between the two teams.
How close do you think that starting lineup tonight will be to the starting lineup on Saturday? Because you think your last friendly against good opposition, I thought Bilbao looked sharp, particularly in that first half. You think is that the team he's looking to start with on Saturday? How many changes do you think there would be to that?
It's not going to be far away. I mean, one of the things is we stand here today and we're all waiting for these huge signings, household names and £15 million signings and all that stuff, and obviously it's not materialised, and no great surprise that it hasn't. I think we're just all dreaming that rather than expecting it. But when you look at the team from last year, we've talked about this in previous years, Paul, player retention is as important as recruitment, particularly when it's a team that's still maturing, and our team from last year was a very young team with regards to how long they've been at the club. So if everybody was fit, I think there's probably only one change in your starting 11, despite the signings that we've brought in, and it's probably a bada for Jota. Other than that, you look through that team and you think, Johnson, if he was fit, Carter, Vickers, you're desperate to keep those two. Hart, there's been a lot said about Hart. I'm hoping Siegrist will get a bit more game time this year, but in the other two positions, maybe not so desperate with Starfelt and Taylor. But certainly imperative that we kept Carter, Vickers and Johnson as well. When you move in the middle, we couldn't imagine losing Hatate, one of our best players. It was critical we kept him and the captain, of course. And then O'Reilly, most fans wanted to keep him. I know Moy moved on, but I think O'Reilly was the one that we were desperate to keep out of those two. And then out wide, Maeda, we've managed to hold on to him.
Yeah.
I know these players can still go away, but so far. And then, of course, we lost Jota, but I think this is going to be a huge year for Abada. I think Abada will come in and be so good that we'll not miss Jota as much as we fear. And then, of course, up front, our talisman. So we've only lost one starter.
Aye, that's the truth, aye.
And the guys that have come in, the five of them, I think they will contribute. I think they will come on, at 60-minute mark. 3 or 4 of them will come on, and I think they will play their part. Tonight, a couple of them in particular, I thought Sean, but it's far too early to get carried away one way or the other, isn't it?
Aye, it's far too early to judge players in pre-season. A big boost that Carter Vickers is back tonight. You mentioned Abada there. I think something we didn't see very often at all under Ange was Abada on the left-hand side. He came on and played on the left-hand side in the second half tonight. We always used to see Jota and Maeda switch constantly, but when Abada was on the pitch, he was almost always on the right-hand side. He was one who impressed me in the second half. I thought all was really good. I thought his link-up was brilliant. He done well to set up the third goal for David Turnbull. I thought our second goal was excellent. I think we had it wide for a corner, and O'Reilly's wee ball through to Bernabei was excellent. Bernabei impressed as well. I thought Odin, Thiago Home in midfield looked tidy. You can see his qualities. Again, too early to judge, but there's a lot of encouraging signs in that second half.
And there's a couple of options out wide now as well. Yang I thought was good, and it's not just about those 10 that we've talked about that we are starting. 10 out of your 11 starters last year plus Abada. it's about these other players who have now got an opportunity to play a greater part in the team this year. They're in year 2, so you talk about Bernabei. Jury's still out in Bernabei, but I think a lot of us have got high hopes for him. Maybe a bit rusty when he first came in, but he got goals, and I think now you can see him starting to settle into the team. Iwata, I think, will be one of our best players next year. I genuinely do. Players like Turnbull, a lot of the fans have written Turnbull off. Not a good finish tonight. Will he get a bit more game time next year? So some of those periphery players will be interesting to see if Rodgers can take them to that next level. Some of the players who weren't getting regular game time last year, most of them are here now as well. Haksabanovic as well, he'll be looking for a bit more game time. So there's certainly continuity in the team, and it's not a stale team. It's a team, as I said earlier, that's still maturing, and a lot of these players in year 2 or year 3 will just get better and better.
Yeah, and it's a fresh start for everybody. The guys that didn't get so much game time, they've got a new manager to impress and try and stake their claim for a place in the team. Other debutants, Narovski at centre half, only played the first half. We changed the whole team apart for James Forrest at half time. Early signs, would you make of him, and how do you think the manager will approach that? Because we don't know about Starfelt in terms of his future. There's been a few wee murmurs, we don't know if there's anything in them, but Carter Vickers and Starfelt have been rock solid for us, so it's a decision for him to make there, isn't it? Because a big investment, $4.5 million for Narovski.
Yeah, and I think he did okay. I was quite impressed, in fact, and it will be interesting to see if he has a good start to his career, if he comes in and takes the place of Starfelt, even if he's hanging about. As you say, the combination of Starfelt and Carter Vickers was really, really solid. How much of that was down to Carter Vickers? Because he's just such a good player. I mean, he played tonight like he's not been away and had an operation, that he's 100% fit. He was just some crucial tackles, in both halves.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could play him in that back four on his own and he would probably just sweep up everything. He's so good, eh? But yeah, it's given us another option. I think we're desperate for something else in that position, rather than the huge reliance on those two players.
Yeah, and Martin, we usually finish with man of the match. We need to talk about it tonight because James Forrest scored it. He was stick on, wasn't it? He only played 49 minutes, but he got it.
It's a hard one because a lot of players played, reduced game time as well. Eh? Yeah. I mean, I was really impressed with all 3 goals. I liked Hatate's goal as well. We've not really touched on that.
That was a lovely finish. As I say, he had an indifferent first half. A great goal though.
3 players round him, and he just shows great composure, not phased at all. I think one behind him, one in front of him, and one at the side of him, all putting pressure on him, all as close as we are just now. And he just, what a sunblind finish with his left foot. Man of the match, that's a tough one. I thought, I really enjoyed watching him tonight.
He was good.
Out the debutants, he was probably a standout for me.
Aye, lots of good performances, lots of good goals, lots to build on. We're back here on Saturday for the start of the season against Ross County. Join us for that. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe below if you haven't already. Thank you.